if I'm not comfortable with a stranger knowing something about me, I'm probably not going to share it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Samaya and this is Sunny Archives. And today I just wanted to answer some questions for those of you that may be new. So I just have some questions in front of me. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading those questions. So let's get into it. But before we do that, make sure you like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Share this video with someone you think might enjoy. And without further ado, let's get into it. The first question we have is, what inspired the name Sunny Archives and what does it mean to you now? First, the sunny part. I love sunny weather. Not only that, when I think sunny, I think yellow. When I think yellow, I think happy. My favorite color is yellow. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here. I probably have. I probably haven't. And then when I put archives with it, my channel was always intended to be a video diary of my life, henceforth, an archive of my life. So I just put those two words together to just highlight, I don't know, just my life is sunny archives, you know? It may not necessarily mean that all moments are sunny, but I feel like at the end of less sunny moments, you will be able to find sunny moments in life. And so, yeah, I feel like it still means the same thing, but I just aim to have a sunny demeanor as much as possible. Next question. How has becoming a mom changed the way you create content and the way you see the outdoors? So, if you have been around here since the beginning, you know that my very first videos were me kayaking, camping, hiking, all the outdoorsy stuff. I think I also posted some videos of me doing like lawn work at my house back in South Carolina. And basically, being a mom changed the amount of freedom I have to go out and do those things. I can't just consider myself anymore. I have to consider myself and my son. And even without baby boy, I still have to consider my husband as well. Yeah, I won't say that it stops me from doing those things. I haven't been able to do those things as often. It definitely makes it so that I have to be much more intentional about when I want those moments. So, for instance, when we moved up here during our first summer, I would, basically give my husband a heads up and be like, hey, tomorrow morning I want to go hiking. And when you're in a relationship and you have a child and there's things that you like to do, not only are there things you like to do, but you appreciate your alone time. I feel like the biggest thing is communicating with your partner and just giving them a heads up and being like, hey, I want this kind of time to myself tomorrow. This is what I'm planning on doing. Yeah. So, in terms of that, because I can't do it as often, my content definitely has switched to more home life content. I don't really record in public. Maybe that's something I can get more comfortable with. But it's definitely shifted my content to be more things that are going on behind the scenes. So I've been putting out a lot of vlogs. You guys see that I've been putting out more bookish content. Anybody who knows me knows that I've been reading since I was a kid. I've always been an avid reader. Yeah, it's just never anything that I really thought to put on YouTube. And when I saw a lot of other people doing bookish content, I was like, huh, I'm reading anyways. I might as well share more about what I'm reading. So, yeah, but I do hope to do more outdoor content. I would like to do it now, but it's cold. I'm not much of a snowbird. I don't mind going out in the cold, but it definitely makes it more difficult to find that motivation to go out in the cold, especially because the last almost decade of my life, I did not have to deal with this kind of weather. So even when it was cold, it's not like anything on the ground was preventing me from taking a hike or going camping. It's like it would be cold, but at least you're not trudging through snow and ice. So yeah, hopefully when it warms up, not hopefully, when it warms up, we will be going on more adventures, especially more solo adventures and also adventures with baby boy and my husband. And especially because baby boy is getting older, we're definitely looking forward to going camping again because we haven't been camping in a while. But yeah. What's a typical day like for you balancing full-time work, motherhood, and YouTube? When I'm at work, I'm not at home. So I work shifts that are basically 2 days on, 2 days off, and sliding weekend. So what's unique for me is that I'm not balancing motherhood and homemaking when I'm at work. When I'm at work, I'm able to just focus on work. When I come home, I leave my work at work and I focus on being a mom, being a wife, being a homemaker, whatever. So I don't really consider it balancing because even though I would rather come home every evening, there is a blessing in a sense of being able to compartmentalize work and leave it at work. And I feel like even if I was coming home every evening, I would still be able to compartmentalize work because I don't bring anything home. If I have to study for a new certification, I do that at work because I know I don't want to bring stuff home. I study my behind off and do all that I need to do at work. The most work I've ever brought home is if I have a form to fill out that maybe my husband needs to sign it, or it includes baby boy's information. I don't know, but I really don't bring work home, which is a huge blessing. So, yeah, I don't really call it balancing. It's more like separating, which is completely fine with me. I've tried to start recording a little bit more while I'm at work, not recording what I do for work. I'm not interested in that at all. This is not the channel that you will hear me talking about my work. So if you ask me about it, you're not going to get an answer because I don't care to talk about it. But in terms of with YouTube, when I have those free moments at work, I'm trying to get better at recording them. So I think maybe in my last vlog or the vlog before, you saw me in a setting that doesn't look like my home. You might see sometimes that I'm recording something outside, and well, it's not like you guys know the outside of where I live, but yeah, I'm just trying to get better at recording, not just when I'm at home. You see what I'm saying? I used to be somebody, especially with all of my outdoor adventures, I used to be someone that I was either recording at home or I was recording in nature where there wasn't anybody else around. So I am trying to get more comfortable with recording in public spaces. Again, when I'm at work, I'm not trying to incorporate people into my videos, but I think I'm trying to get more comfortable, like if I'm sitting on a bench and recording some b-roll or something like that, or if I'm reading in bed or something, recording b-roll. I'm just trying to get more comfortable with just recording what I'm doing in the moment, especially if I'm trying to build a vlog, especially if it's a weekly or a monthly vlog. I would like to incorporate more still and candid moments of my life. Next question. What do you love most about raising a 2-year-old right now? I think what I love most about the 2-year-old stage is just how much they pick up on and how quickly. And then not only how they pick up on it, but the fact that they know how to use it towards you or against you in a way. For example, like earlier today, baby boy was sitting on my lap and we were on Google Meet. For those of you that have Apple and don't know what I'm talking about, Google Meet is basically like FaceTime, but for non-Apple phones. I'm on Google Meet with my mom and I cannot remember what he was saying. Imagine he was saying, potty 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 potty. Oh no, he was saying me. He was saying me, like lately, for whatever reason, and he knows how to say these words. He will not say help me or help please. He just keeps whining me. So he comes onto my lap and he's not whining, he's not upset, but he just is like me, and I'm like, can you stop saying me? I was like, I don't want to hear that anymore. He looks at me and goes, no, 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 no. And then so my mom and my husband are like chuckling because it's like he understood what I was saying and changed the word. And then he started saying another word. He was like snack. Like, so that in and of itself is so crazy to me. The fact that he was like the intelligence that he holds to be able to change the word he's using but use it in the same exact way, knowing what I asked him not to say. I thought that was crazy. And the fact that he looked at me and started doing it, I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, I would say that that's my favorite part of raising a 2-year-old, is just watching them absorb the life around them. And it's also a scary factor too, because you have to watch what you say, you have to watch what you do, you have to watch how you react, and not just for the 2-year old stage, but throughout your entire parentage or whatever. But it is really amazing to see them pick up all these things, and then to think that just 2 short years ago they were these little wrinkly aliens that didn't know how to keep their head up straight. So, but yeah, I think that's a really cool part about him. What was the very first outdoor adventure that made you fall in love with camping or hiking? The very first outdoor adventure, I can't remember the very first. All I know is that when people ask me about my love for camping or hiking, I have vivid memories. Well, vivid is probably too exaggerative, but I don't know. I guess they are vivid because I can remember them. I don't remember exact dates, but I can remember, what was around me and things that I saw and the experience and all that stuff. But I have memories of growing up, my mom, um, she would take me to Delaware Water Gap. I don't know if it's still, I'm pretty sure it's still a place. I think it would be kind of crazy if it wasn't a place. But Delaware Water Gap is in Delaware. It's this area where you can go hiking. I guess the literal water gap, people can go kayaking. I have never gone kayaking, but growing up, my mom, she and I would drive out there and she would take me hiking. I vividly remember one day we went and I was using her camelback that was like an old part of her issued gear, and I just thought that was so cool. But yeah, we would go hiking all the time. There was like a children's learning center there, and I remember going in there. You touch different buttons that are for different animals or different trees or whatever. And I remember the hiking trails that had, this is pretty normal for hiking trails where there's, a splotch of paint on certain trees or whatever. But that's something that always stuck out to me, is that before that moment in my life, I don't ever remember being anywhere else where I was near trails that had like paint splotches on trees. I want to say that the only times that I went hiking in my life were with my mother as a child. So fast forward, I think I'm like 12 or 13. I was a part of this organization in my church called Pathfinders, and the way I describe it to people is basically like Boy or Girl Scouts, but based out of the Seventh Day Adventist Church. And we went on a camping trip, and we went to, the event is called Oshkosh. I think it happens like every 4 years. Again, I don't know if it's still happening. The last time I was at this event was when I was like 14. But there was another trip before I was 14 that we were supposed to go on, but there was a huge storm, and I don't even think we made it all the way there. We either didn't make it there, or when we made it there, the grounds, there was like some sort of mudslide or whatever. I don't know, because I remember we turned right back around. So, but the camping trip that we did go on for that organization, I remember I really enjoyed myself. I had to experience using showers where they put a strict 10-minute timer, and there would be people banging on the door constantly if you weren't out in time. I remember there being like a charging station where everybody, like adults, teens, and children alike, are standing there waiting for phones to charge. I remember it being this huge field, and it was from people that were all under the same denomination, but from all parts of the world. It was basically like a sea of tents. People would rent the golf carts and you can drive around. Different events and different programs were happening in different parts. It was almost like going around the world within this giant field, because you would go to one area and the church based out of Mexico is doing their own program. You go to a different area and the church based out of Japan is doing their own program. I just thought that was so cool. Not only are you in a place where there's so many people from all around the world that hold your same beliefs and values, but also they love camping enough to come out here. It was 2 weeks long. So 2 weeks long of having to go to communal showers and 10-minute showers, and having to stand up and wait for a spot to get your things charged if they end up dying. You know what I mean? Like, people are volunteering, whether one day you're helping out with preparing meals and stuff, because I want to say once you paid to go to this event, it covers the basic meals that happen every day. So 3 meals a day. You're responsible for purchasing or having your own snacks and whatnot, and obviously having your own camping gear and all that stuff. But I remember having a great time between hiking with my mom and doing that camping experience. I feel like I have always had a love for the outdoors. My mom really fostered that in me. And it's crazy to think that something as simple as her driving me out and us going hiking turned into me hiking alone, camping alone. When my husband was my boyfriend, I got him to come camping with me and our dogs, and that became our thing. Next thing you know, we have kayaks and we're kayaking. And then it started out as a double kayak, and then we got individual kayaks, and that just became our thing. Like, I'm really grateful for how she fostered that in me, because it wasn't something that I did all the time. Yes, I grew up in the suburbs of New Jersey, partially grew up in New York City, but most of my childhood was in the suburbs of Jersey. and North Jersey specifically. And so I was never at a lack for greenery or open space. Definitely not the type of open space that I was able to experience in the South, but it's not the same as to say if I grew up in New York City my entire life, where there is a lot more limited availability of just open greenery right outside your front door. So I think where I was raised and how I was raised, and, you know, going to parks for family reunions, actually going to parks in New York City too for family reunions. And yeah, I feel like I've always loved the outdoors. And then on top of that, yearly, my family would go on family cruises where it would just be anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 of us all gathering on the same cruise, and not necessarily doing every single thing together, but we're there together. So it's like, if you want to hang out with family, now's your chance, and people that you probably haven't seen in the last year or so. But on those cruises, when I got older, my mom and I, we would step away from what the rest of the family was doing, which was your typical, shopping, eating, shopping. As I got older and I was able to keep up with more stuff, my mom would take me on hikes. Like, I have a vivid memory of us being in St. Thomas, and we were about to try to do this volcanic hike. We kind of did a volcanic tour, but there was a kind of river type hike that we were going to try to do, but we didn't have the right shoes on. And I remember we didn't even get that far. I remember we walked across a couple of rocks, and my mom was like, yeah, we're not equipped for this right now. And I remember we were standing looking over, I forgot what that place was called. I don't know if they called it hell. It was something like the devil's place or hell or something like that, because it was a whole bunch of jagged volcanic rocks. So they're like huge, it's all black, like slate black. They're jagged spiky rocks, so basically if you fell on them, it would not be a good time. And I want to say it was called like hell or devil's place or something like that, and I'm pretty sure the island was St. Thomas. I could be mixing that up. I remember being in Mexico and my mom and I doing like a Mayan or Aztec type tour, and they were showing us different ruins and things like that. Like, I say all that to say I could go on about this forever, but I really attribute my love for the outdoors starting with how my mom fostered that in my life. She's never outwardly said this, but I feel like her doing that with me was also a way not only to bond with me, but also to help center herself, from the craziness of life and obligations and family issues and work stress and all that stuff. I feel like her taking the initiative to bring me outdoors where we're not dealing with all of that stuff really helped just, ground the both of us. Next question. What kind of books are you most drawn to in this season of your life, and why? That's a hard question because in general, I'm mostly drawn to romance and fantasy books because that is just my favorite genre. So it's kind of hard to say what I'm most drawn to in this season of life because it hasn't really changed. I feel like in the back of my mind, I'm always going to be the most drawn to fantasy and romance. But I will say that in this season of my life, that's not all I'm reading. I'm picking up more classics. I'm picking up things that just might be fiction instead of having a romantic element. And I've been enjoying some fiction reads. For instance, the most recent fiction book I read was, I think it's called The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. And I really enjoyed that. Recently found out that there's a sequel to it. I don't know if it's available now or it's supposed to come out in the next couple of months. It had some romantic elements, but it was not a romance book. It was more so, I guess you could kind of call it thriller. It's really not that scary, but it could be scary depending on how it like affects you. But it was a fiction read and I really, really enjoyed it. The story, chef's kiss. I would read it again. Would I read it again? Nah, I don't think I would read it again, but I would definitely read every book that's relating to that story. So yeah, I feel like at least this stage in life, it's been holding on to the fact that I've always loved romance. Even when I was in high school reading YA books, I was enjoying reading about romance. I read so much during high school. When I think about that, not just high school, but middle school too. That's another thing that my mom always fostered in me was a love for reading. Like, I was that kid that got in trouble in sixth grade because anybody else who was in sixth grade during the time I was in sixth grade knows that iPod Touch was in a feverish hit, And I would get in trouble in English class because your girl was already done with her work, and I would be like sneaking my iPod Touch reading whilst in class while everybody else is doing something else, or like catching up on work or something. But yeah, so it hasn't really changed what I'm into. I think it's more so that I'm purposely opening myself up to more things. Instead of immediately writing things off because they're not romance or whatever, I'm taking more of a leap with things because I think it goes back to the corny, cliche, but truthful saying of not to judge a book by its cover. Because that's another thing too. I've been trying to pick up older books. I think it's really easy this day and age with book talk, booktube, all that stuff, to just pick up what's new and what's being released. But there's a lot of good stories that have been around for, you know, years, months, centuries, you know what I mean? Things that are probably 50 to 100 years old, but they're still good. Hence why we have classics, right? So if you guys have any recommendations, leave them in the comments below if you have anything that you think I might like. Next question. What does slow living or intentional living look like for you, if at all? For me personally, slow living means actually slowing down. I'm someone that I feel like I'm always rushing. There's a lot of times I'm moving through life and then I have to ask myself, why am I rushing? You know what I mean? Especially for moments where I don't necessarily have a time constraint or the time constraint is not really going to affect anything. It's like, why am I moving so fast to get dressed? Why am I rushing my son who is being a toddler and going this way and that way? You know what I mean? Like, for instance, when it's time to go down for a nap, even though I want him to go down for a nap at a certain time, still, why am I rushing? I'm like, come on, let's go, let's go. Like, why does everything have to be so fast paced? And I think that's just a consequence of life, you know, maybe the type of work we do, maybe the different responsibilities we have, maybe that everything in life seems to be on a schedule and we have to be here or do this by a certain time. But I'm trying to really be more cognizant of when I'm in that mental state because it stresses me out. Whenever I feel like I'm rushing, I'm stressed out. I feel like I've been doing much better with being somewhere much earlier than I need to be, or getting ready much earlier than I need to get ready, just so I can prevent myself from having to rush, you know? But yeah, slow living for me is not rushing everywhere. It's taking the joy in the little moments. So in the morning, maybe not immediately getting out of bed, but just staring at the ceiling or staring out the window and taking a deep breath and just being fully aware of, wow, I am blessed to see another day of life. I went to sleep, I was out to the world, and here we are with a brand new day, and I'm able to see it. Slow living is also, I feel like, just being present and really acknowledging all of the little things around you. But I could go on that forever, but I feel like all in all, slow living is being intentional. But yeah, okay. How do you decide what parts of your life to share online and what to keep private? I think the best way to describe that is, if I'm not comfortable with a stranger knowing something about me, I'm probably not going to share it. I feel like there's a time and a place to be transparent. And even in those times and places, how transparent are you going to be? But that's just me. I just try to make sure that I'm balanced about what I share on here and what I don't. What's one outdoor activity you're most excited to share again once winter ends? Oh, okay. I'm excited to share camping. My husband and I have been talking about this, that we're so excited to go camping. And I'm so excited to bring baby boy into that part of our life that we used to do so much before he was born. I'm so excited. Something that makes me even more excited and kind of like giddy is the fact that when Seth and I brought up camping again, and I talked about being excited to bring baby boy, he was like, that is exciting, but I look forward to just you and I going camping. I want it to just be you and I to experience that again before we bring baby boy into this part of our life. So that just made me feel so giddy because, yeah, of course, I love doing things that is just my husband and I. And of course, I love doing things that we can incorporate baby boy, especially now that he's older. He's on his own 2 feet. But I thought that was so sweet because I was not expecting that. I'm so excited to go camping. I love to cook, and there's something about cooking in the outdoors. And don't get me wrong, I love me a good burger, a good weenie and beanies or whatever. But when it comes to cooking like full meals, you guys have probably seen from some of my old videos where I'm having rice and salmon and broccoli, and I cooked all of it either on a propane stove or on that campfire, baby. And anybody who knows me knows that I love a good campfire, and I love cooking on a campfire. Like, ugh, it's just so nice. I think back to last November, my husband and I went on a cabin trip in the mountains with another couple that we actually met on the cruise. We cooked asparagus one night. We even cooked potatoes, like we rolled all the potatoes in foil with butter and olive oil or salt and pepper or whatever. And we cooked those. The boys, they cooked chicken on the grill, but still, I love me a good grilled food. I would grill right now if we had a grill. We don't have a grill. So, yes, camping. So excited. Do you have a dream camping trip, hike, or travel destination that you hope to film someday? Ooh, I feel like kind of all three. I don't know. I can't say a dream camping or hiking trip or a dream travel destination. There are a lot of places I would love to hike and camp. I don't know. One of the biggest things that comes into my head is Machu Picchu. I feel like even as a kid, I have always talked about, oh, I want to climb Machu Picchu. I just know that there's a huge, beautiful mountain in Peru, and there is a village of people at the top. I don't know if they still live there, if they've migrated from there. I don't know. But yeah, I've just always thought the Peruvian mountains are so gorgeous. Mountains in general, I feel like I'm truly a mountain girl. Like my typical ecosystem to be in is mountains are green mountains. So mountains that are covered in trees, not really like your Rocky Mountains that don't have, not the literal Rocky Mountains, but I'm talking about substrate type, like Rocky Mountains that they're more rock and not a lot of shrubbery or greenery going on. I like mountains like North Carolina mountains where it's you're going up in range, but no matter how high you go, you still have all these beautiful green big trees surrounding you, and I love that so much. Again, I can't think of a dream camping trip or hiking trip. I don't know. I'm open to going anywhere. I will say that I'm not much of a snow person. I deal with it because I have to, but when I see people camping in snow, I think it's so cool. But unless I have all the same materials, I'm probably not going to enjoy myself because I know there's people that camp in snow with much less than the type of videos I watch. I love watching Korean camp tubers, and when they camp in snow, they have these, at least the people that I'm watching. So like Chiwoo Camp and Soberry, and who else have I been watching? Gosh, I can't remember the names. But those two specifically, they be having the gear, okay? And I watch about like 5 or 6 of them, but those two, they're the ones that pop up the most on my feed because I love their videos. They have a whole apartment, like a condo they be having. And then on top of that, they have these furnaces, like real fire furnaces. And then some of their tents, they're able to put a chimney and they have their wood burning stove. So they're comfortable. And then on top of that, they got, their power station. So they have their heated blankets or their propane heaters or their electric heaters, whatever. So they're set. They can literally have a warm little haven in the midst of that snowstorm. If I have all those things, sure, I will find somewhere that my little all-wheel drive can go and we can go camping in the snow. But I will not be doing no rough snow camping. Like another Korean camp tuber that I watch, Rang on Air, she's been doing a lot more like global travel recently, but she is not as gadget forward as the other camp tubers that they be having all the tables, the coolers, the portable sinks, the amount of different cooking materials and cooking utensils and all that stuff, the different stoves and all those things. They be having everything. When it comes to Rerang, she be having what she needs, and that's about it. Like she does have some cool gear, and it's not that the gear isn't cool. It's more so she's not maximalist camper. That's how I would describe the other two. They're maximalist campers. Rerang is not like that. She's very much a minimalist camper, or maybe a medialist. I don't know. I vividly remember a video where she was camping on like this kind of stone edge type thing, and there was a storm, and she had one of those, those low bivy tents that are probably only like a foot off from the ground, so it's really only for you to get in there and just like stay still and go to sleep. Girl, that thing was blowing and tossing and turning, and she was getting wet inside the tent. I was like, honey, I would never. My behind would be packing up and going back in that car. And don't get me wrong, I've camped in some rough situations, but not like that. But homegirl, she be thugging it out. Re-rang on air and be thugging it out. I don't want to be a thug. I do not have the thug in me. I want the soft life. Give me all the gadgets. Give me my portable blow up apartment. Give me my little hexagonal dome that I can have in the middle of nowhere and still feel like I'm in the comfort of my home, but with a better view. Thank you. Okay, I like this one. How does your marriage support or influence your creative life and content? My husband never stops me from doing the things that I enjoy. If I want to do something, his answer is usually going to be like, go for it, try it out, see what happens. I'm never at a lack for his support in doing what I love and also being able to step out on my own. Like I was saying about one of our first questions about how do I still try to maintain doing the things that I love, communication. And he does not stop me from that, even if it's hanging out with a work friend, you know. He doesn't stop me from that. And the same goes here. If he's hanging out with somebody, or if he wants to go to the gym and do his own thing, or whatever, when the weather was nice and he would want to go out fishing, I don't stop him from doing that stuff. I don't. And if we want to do something together, we communicate with my mom. If she can watch Baby Boy, which 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 times out of 10, she can. Yeah, it's just about communication and planning. And again, that word intention, being intentional. So yeah, I don't feel like I have a lack of support for doing the things I love in life, doing creative content. How does my marriage influence my creative life and content? Well, I feel like it's always going to influence my content because I live with my husband and we do life together. So inherently, the way I move about life is going to involve him. In a way, it's going to be because of him. Our marriage influences my content in a way of like the type of life I'm living, the situation I'm in, the area I'm in, whatever have you. It influences that in that way. Like I am who I am because of my different experiences in life, and one of those experiences being my marriage. So it's not centered in my content, but it will influence it just because that's who I am. I'm a married woman and this is my life. Let's see, last question. What do you hope viewers feel when they watch a Sunny Archives video? I hope that you guys feel like you're here with me, doing life with me. I want you guys to feel like I'm a friend that's just taking you throughout their day. Maybe we're hanging out together. Maybe you're doing your task around the house while I'm doing my task around the house. Maybe you're exercising while I'm reading. I don't know. I just want you guys to feel like I'm just your friend on the other side of the webernet, just doing what it do, just taking you through life. I don't mind structured videos, but I also don't want my videos to be too structured. To each their own. I love watching hyper structured videos, but in terms of the way that I move throughout life, it's not always going to work like that. I told you guys the type of schedule I have. You guys know that I have a toddler. And on top of that, there's days where I just don't want to do anything. Between the cold, between being tired, between being overstimulated with the toddler, sometimes I just don't want to do a daggone thing but sit on this couch, scroll, and watch TV. I just aim to be as truthful and real as possible whilst maintaining the sectors of privacy that I want to maintain. And I hope that you guys can get your little piece of sunshine on this side of the internet. Hope it brings a little bit of joy to your day whenever, wherever you're watching. And yeah, at the end of the day, I just want you guys to feel good after seeing my videos, whether you feel good, inspired, just want all the good vibes, right? So anyways, I feel like I've chatted enough. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, enjoyed all these questions and these answers. And if you have any questions that I didn't answer, let me know in the comments below. But I hope you guys have a sunny day wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.